Long before skyscrapers and smartphones, before agriculture and alphabets, before the very idea of civilization, there was survival. Pure, raw, instinct-driven survival. 1,000,000 years ago, our ancestors lived in a world that was as beautiful as it was brutal. Towering grasses rippled across vast plains, ancient trees stretched toward the sun, and wild beasts ruled the land. It was a time of hunters and hunted. And it was in this crucible that humanity was born. The early hominins, ancestors like Homo erectus, were not the kings of their world. They were clever prey, armed not with claws or fangs, but with something infinitely more powerful: the capacity to learn, adapt, and care for one another. Their story is not just one of hardship but of ingenuity, resilience, and the earliest spark of something we now call humanity. At dawn, the world awakened with sound and scent. Mammoths bellowed in the distance. Giant deer herds stirred. Saber-toothed cats stretched and prowled, ready to hunt. For our ancestors, every sunrise was both a promise and a threat. It meant another day to find food, to gather water, to stay alive. It also meant exposure to predators, to rival tribes, and to the unpredictable forces of nature. The group, never large, usually a band of 15 to 30, huddled close beneath rocky outcrops or in caves. Safety came in numbers. The alpha, often a seasoned male or female with battle scars and years of experience, would rise first. Garak was such a leader, tall, strong, with sharp eyes that had seen both triumph and tragedy. The morning ritual began with scanning the horizon. Were there fresh tracks? A carcass picked clean by vultures? Smoke from lightning or distant fire? Water was the first priority. The river was distant and dangerous, its banks lined with muddy trails from predators and prey alike. Crocodiles waited just beneath the surface, perfectly still. The young were taught to drink quickly, never turning their backs. Even toddlers understood the rule: drink, don't linger. Everything was a threat. Then came the hunt. Hunting was not a daily success but a daily necessity. Most days ended in disappointment. The clan tracked herds of antelope-like creatures, searching for the slow or injured. Spears were crude, often fire-hardened sticks with stone points. The strategy was not brute force but patience, cooperation, and ambush. Women and children watched from afar, ready to alert the group if predators arrived. Garak, Mira, and Korr, siblings from different mothers but raised together, moved like shadows through the tall grass. One misstep, one broken twig, and the entire herd would vanish. Worse still was when they weren't the only predators watching. On more than one occasion, the hunters found themselves being hunted. On one such hunt, the wind shifted. The animals bolted. And from the shadows, a saber-toothed cat charged. Mira screamed. Korr froze. But Garak acted. He hurled a burning branch, snatched from their fire bundle, into the path of the cat. Fire. The great equalizer. The beast halted, snarled, and slinked away. It was a victory, but a narrow one. Fire was everything. Warmth in cold nights. Light in darkness. Protection against predators. But making it? That was still beyond them. They had learned only recently how to keep embers alive. A spark was a miracle. Lightning-struck trees were blessings. During a storm, if their fire was lost, terror followed. One such night had burned itself into the group's memory. A thunderstorm rolled in from the mountains. Rain fell in sheets. Wind howled. Their fire hissed and died. The night became alive with glowing eyes. Hyenas circled. The children whimpered. Adults stood guard, clutching spears. Every crack of thunder sent hearts racing. They survived, but barely. The next morning, soaked and shivering, Garak and two others followed the smell of smoke and found a charred tree. From its blackened stump, they coaxed fire and carried it back like treasure. Food was scarce, and what they ate would seem unimaginable today. Grubs, roots, bone marrow cracked from scavenged carcasses. They followed vultures, hoping to claim what was left of a lion's kill. Nothing was wasted. Bones became tools. Skins became clothing. Even sinew became cord. The women were masters of gathering, not just berries but knowledge. They knew which roots healed and which killed. Every child learned through watching, imitating, and sometimes through tragedy. On one occasion, a child named Yari consumed a cluster of bright berries. Within hours, he was vomiting and fevered. The group watched helplessly. An elder woman, Nima, crushed bark and leaves, creating a bitter poultice. Yari lived. From then on, the berry was known by all. One life saved a dozen more. When a hunt succeeded, it was brief joy. A mammoth calf, brought down with teamwork and fire, fed the group for days. They feasted, laughed, danced around the flames. Blood smeared their faces and their voices rose in songs made of grunts and rhythm. But even in celebration, danger lurked. The scent of blood drew scavengers. Wolves, hyenas, other humans. Not all humans were kin. Rival groups roamed nearby. Some were peaceful. Others were not. One day, as the group gathered by the river, another clan appeared, taller, more muscular, with sharper spears and painted faces. There was a standoff. Tension buzzed like flies over meat. Garak signaled retreat. They left the river that day not because they were weak, but because survival meant knowing when to fight and when to flee. Their journey to new lands was a test of endurance. Through forests echoing with bird cries. Across plains stalked by lions. Over rivers swollen with rain. Along the way they shaped new tools, adapted to new plants and remembered old lessons. Injury was common. A broken leg could mean death. But they did not abandon the weak. Korr once fell from a rocky ledge, twisting his ankle. The group carried him on a stretcher made of branches and hide. They moved slower, risked more. But they stayed together. Because alone no one survived. But together, they had a chance. As days turned to years, stories passed down through guttural sounds and hand gestures. A clawed hand meant danger. A cupped palm meant water. A sky-pointing finger could mean hope. These primitive languages were not just communication, they were the seeds of culture. Mira, still young, often stared at the stars. She would trace them with her fingers, mimicking their patterns. The others teased her. But Nima watched with pride. In Mira's wonder, she saw the beginning of something powerful, curiosity. The same spark that tamed fire, shaped tools, and taught humans to dream. Storms continued to rage. Predators continued to stalk. Hunger never truly left. But over time the clan adapted. They learned to dig traps, to smoke meat, to craft shelters of wood, mud, and hide. Their hands, once only for grasping, became tools themselves. And slowly the world bent to their will, just a little. Their children learned to climb before they could walk far. Their elders taught them where to find water in drought. Every wrinkle on a face was a story. Every scar was a lesson. Every death was a teacher. This was not a world of comfort, but it was a world of growth. From their firelit nights came community. From their struggles came strength. And from their fears came wisdom. We often look back at these ancestors as primitive, but what they were, in truth, was extraordinary. They faced a world most of us could never imagine. And they did not just survive. They built the foundation for everything we are. The next time you light a fire, drink clean water, or share a meal with others, remember them. The ones who came before. Scarred but unbroken. Because of them we are here. Because of them we endure. 1,000,000 years ago the journey began. And it continues within us all.